12:15, and more on that thing I was just mentioning a second ago in the introduction. There's a really exciting new photography exhibition coming to Humber Street Gallery next month, telling the tales of almost half a century of storytelling, community, friendship and change. Now HU3 and Me is launching at the gallery, mixing black and white photos with the collaborative work to detail years of change in the local community. Now the two photographers behind this, and good friends as well, is George Norris and Russell Boyce, and they join us this afternoon. Very good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting us onto the show.
You're absolutely more than welcome. George, we'll start with you. Now, you've both met back in, I think it was 1983, and have a friendship that has spanned over 40 years. So tell us a bit about how you both actually met and this lifelong friendship that's blossomed into something that you're going to be doing at the Humber Street Gallery.
Russell was a photography student at Park Street College, and a friend of a friend asked if Russell could take pictures of me on the horse and cart collecting scrap around Hull. So that's where it started in the summer of '83, and Russell jumped on the cart for a month and just witnessed everything and documented me as well as other great things in Hull in '83. But for a full month of the summer of '83, Russell came along, and this is how the friendship started, and we've been friends ever since.
Why were you in a horse and cart?
Because the tradition of my family, our scrap dealers, were a well-known scrap dealing family in the city, well respected, and I did it when I first left school. There was not a lot of jobs available, and I thought, well, I'll just go with it. I didn't go to college, university, and that was a learning curve for me. It opened my eyes to my city, and it's inspired me ever since, really.
Yeah, and Russell, what was it about seeing George on a horse and cart and documenting that made you two have a lifelong friendship?
I think what it was is that George was one of the coolest guys on earth. I mean, he's a young guy, rag and bone man, flat top, very confident, just chatting to people, flirting with the women he met, getting stuff. And it was actually a fascinating way of life. And so many things that I saw when I was living in HU3 were just fascinating. And I thought that George was a brilliant subject to photograph, because actually, I was able to tour the area, and he had a great insight into the area. And he was a natural, because he just completely ignored me and got on with his day job, which enabled me to shoot a great set of pictures.
You mentioned that you met in 1983, and like everywhere, a lot's changed since 1983. Why was it important to document that change, and why is it something that you wanted to show off, Russell?
I think it's important to continually document what you see around you, and you can do that today. You can do that previously. Like you see a picture 100 years old. If you don't document what's ordinary, what you see today, it's actually gone forever, because change does happen slowly, but for sure it happens. And I think it's important to actually have an honest record of what's really going on. It's not an extreme thing. It's not it's not severe poverty. It's not glamour. It's not show business. It's just ordinary lives, and so often that's missed out. And I think it's important to keep that for the future, an honest record of what's really going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And George, looking back at some of the photos, what is the most noticeable change, for better for worse, that you look at and thought, wow, I can't believe that we've gone in that direction, or I can't believe that's not there anymore?
Your show's not long enough, mate. But there's a lot of changes I've witnessed. I worked away on the rigs, and I used to work on the offshore industry for 25 years, and every time I came home, I've noticed lots of different changes. The way the pub culture's gone, the industry's gone. Lots of things have vanished in the last 40 years. I'll never come back because of technology, employment, the actual fabric of the housing stock. Things vanish, like what you just said, slowly, but they vanish. We've had different governments in power in the last 40 years. More cars on the road, more hidden debt. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lots of things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I imagine, Russell, as well, when people come to the exhibition, it is great to look back on nostalgia, but some people may feel like George and get a little bit miffed that these things aren't as they were.
I think what I've tried to do with the pictures is to actually, what I've done is I've actually reimagined the stories that I've actually photographed. So in 2022, George mentioned to me that he was going back out on the streets with his dad, who is 81. And I said to George, I said, I've just got to come and take a picture of you, go and do that. And he said, yes, straight away. And I said, no, ask your dad. And his dad said, yeah, he can come along as he doesn't get in the way. and I think, I think it's important to not get too nostalgic about things, because change is not necessarily a bad thing. So George mentioned there's less cars. One of my pictures of George and his mate Glenn loading a moped onto his car. When I shot it, I was so frustrated that there was this old car in the background. And now looking back at it, it's over its time. So it's, I think, an old Austin. And so now that's recorded. And I think that's what's important that me and George are trying to achieve, is the images that we've shot, is to record this time and place for the future, for people to enjoy and to not get particularly hung up about the changes, but just enjoy. Oh yeah, I recognise that, I see that. And I think the reason we call it You and Me in HU3 is we think that people will not only see pictures of themselves, but actually see their lifestyles within the imagery that we're exhibiting.
Yeah, Russell, I'm actually looking at some of those photos that you took of George and comparing the contrast of him on the cart now and cart then. You haven't changed at all. I've got to be honest, George. You look exactly the same as you were when you were a young 19-year-old on house and cart.
No, you're such a charmer.
That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. Hey, look, let's talk about the exhibition then, because I know a lot of people will be excited about this and wanting to come along. So when can you tell us, George, when is it then?
So it starts preview shows 8th of February, open to everybody in the public after the 9th of February until the 16th of April. And you're all welcome.
We're all welcome. Well, I'm looking from some of the photos. It looks great. Why do you think then, Russell, people should come along and see this exhibition? And what would it mean to the local people, do you think?
I think they'll be able to, like I said earlier on, I think they'll be able to see their own community reflected back through our images. I mean, there's 7 stories, and we've got 3 short films as well. The stories are Rag and Bone, which is about George, and George's short story called Gypsy Childhood. There's Changing Times, which was a story about a woman that actually is having to leave her house because it was being condemned. There's Love Letter to Hull, which is another series of pictures that George has shot, which is sort of like just moments in time of people within the HU3 area. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful standalone pictures. And there's a fantastic set of pictures called Peacocks, which is the subcultures of Hull as well. And there's a series that I shot, Candy DeBarry, who's a drag artist. I photographed him in the St George's pub in 1983, and actually followed up, he's now performing as Bobby Mandrell, and I photographed him getting ready for his show and then performing last November. And lastly, there's the Star and Garter, and what's nice about those pictures is that the pub it's changed very little, and Rachel, the landlady, she said, allow me to do it. And I took prints that I'd shot in 1983 and held them up in the pub, so you can see the pub today and the pictures from 1983. It's like all these people have come back for another, Ghostlight Images, come back for another pint, another drink, another chat. So I think what people get from it is not only a sense of nostalgia, but a sense of pride of their community, and they'll be able to connect visually with the people. And with the 2 films as well, you can hear these people talking as well. So I hope that people enjoy it and they'll get something from it. And ideally, what both George and I would like is that people start to document their own community, take pictures, be inspired by it, and go, yeah, you don't have to go off to the most exotic parts of the world where you're living is exotic, because to other people coming here, they think that's interesting. So we would really love to encourage people to shoot their own pictures.
It sounds brilliant. Thank you so much, George and Russell, for coming on. It sounds like you're really proud of this as well, and it really shines through. So I know a lot of people will be interested to come along just to, to check it out, and that you speak so passionately about it. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. As photographer and friend for 40 years, George Norris and Russell Boyce.